Yes, sir! Orlando Magic news, boys. The Orlando Magic are sacrificing for Cade Cunningham, boys. Now, why do I say this, boys? How do I know this, boys? As we all saw in the trade deadline, the Orlando Magic made a lot of big moves after an injury-ridden start to their season, boys. The front office decided that team, as currently constructed, had reached their ceiling, boys. Then on trade deadline, the front office took steps to begin their rebuild. The Magic decided that they were going to begin a rebuild as their team, as currently constructed, had reached the ceiling. So they decided to trade 3 of the best players on their team. They traded Nikola Vucevic, Evan Fournier, and Aaron Gordon, boys. One player that I'm surprised they didn't trade is Terence Ross, but we'll get into that later. So let's get into the trades, boys. Let's just recap quickly what the Orlando Magic got in return for the assets they traded away. So in the Vucevic trade, definitely probably the biggest trade of the whole trade deadline, boys. This trade took a lot of us by surprise, especially because the Magic originally said that they were planning to keep Vucevic. They did not make him widely available to the whole league, at least to my knowledge. But then when they did decide to trade for him, they ended up trading him to the Bulls instead of the Celtics because the Celtics did not want to offer enough draft picks. But that's a whole nother story. So for Vucevic, the Orlando Magic traded Nikola Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu, and they got Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., the 21 first-round pick from the Bulls, and the 23 first-round pick from the Bulls. Both these picks are top 4 protected, but I doubt that they're going to fall within the top 4, so it's very likely that these picks will convey to the Magic, especially the 21 pick this year. In my opinion, that's a great haul for Vucevic. Vucevic is definitely in the peak of his powers right now at 30 years old. Just had an all-star season, in the middle of an all-star season, playing great basketball. He would have been great for the Magic in the playoffs this year. Unfortunately, injuries have just really killed our team. Like when we look at injuries to Isaac, injuries to Cole Anthony, injuries to Markelle Fultz, it just seems like the Magic, we just can't get past the injury bug, but I digress. So got a decent haul for Vucevic. He gets a different environment with the Bulls. We get a lot of young assets in Wendell Carter Jr., who I think is going to be a great fit for the team, and those 2 first-round picks. Then we get to the Aaron Gordon trade, boys. Aaron Gordon and Gary Clark in exchange for Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a 2025 first-round pick. Once again, the Magic are able to scrape together a first-round pick for one of their players. In the Vucevic deal, we got 2 first-round picks. In the Aaron Gordon deal, we got another first-round pick. We also got Gary Harris and RJ Hampton. RJ Hampton, a great young player. Gary Harris, a great role player. He's not having the best season right now, but we know the potential that Gary Harris has. Then we get into the Evan Fournier deal, boys. I like this deal as well. They traded Evan Fournier. We got Jeff Teague, who we just waived recently. Jeff Teague is not going to be with us. And we got 2 second-round picks, boys. So this is another great move for the Magic. They get more assets. All in all, the Magic got 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. They got 2 young players in Wendell Carter and RJ Hampton, and 2 role players that they could potentially flip in the offseason in Otto Porter and Gary Harris. So another good thing about the Magic in the front office, we have to keep this in mind, boys. Only 3 first-round picks were traded on the trade deadline. All 3 of those first-round picks went to the Magic, boys. Why is that important to keep in mind? Because the NBA, the front offices around the NBA realize that first-round picks are very important. Those are some of the most important assets that you can have in the NBA. If you're able to draft a rookie like everyone's talking about Cade Cunningham this year. We're going to get into Cade later, but if you're able to draft a guy like Cade Cunningham on a rookie contract and then develop him into a productive player that can contribute, once you have a player contributing at a high level on a rookie contract, that's how you build teams that are dynastic and that can win for multiple years, and that's how you build championship teams, boys. That's exactly how you do it. So front offices around the league know that first picks are important, and the Magic were able to get 3 of the only 3 first-round picks that were traded on trade deadline day. So that just goes to show the front office is making good moves, boys. So what does all this news mean for the Magic? Quick recap. So injury-ridden start. The Magic traded 3 of their best players, Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, Fournier. Got a bunch of picks, some young players, and some role players back. The team is deciding to rebuild. What does all this news mean for the Magic, boys? It's pretty simple. The Magic are obviously trying to lean into a rebuild this year in what is to be a very loaded draft. At least 2 players that could definitely be franchise changing, and at least 3 other players that can definitely contribute to a team right away and eventually potentially be maybe all-star players. So now, what does this mean for us? It means the Magic are rebuilding around Jonathan Isaac, the 21 first-round pick that they're going to get this year, whether it be Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, or Jonathan Kuminga. We're going to get into that later, and the young guys that are also on the team. So let's look at the young guys who are on the Magic right now. We have Khem Birch, Mo Bamba, RJ Hampton, Cole Anthony, Wendell Carter Jr., Chuma Okeke, and Markelle Fultz, boys. So that's a good young core to build around. The good thing about trading these 3 players that we traded at the trade deadline, it means there's more minutes for all these young guys to go out and show us what they have to offer. Show us what they're able to do, given a larger role in the offense and defense. This is like a trial and error season. All we're going to do for the rest of the season, Steve Clifford already said in an interview, he does not plan to tank. He's going to go out there every single game and try to win. And that's exactly what the Magic need to do. Get these young guys going out there trying their best. Tanking is never a good thing. Tanking, you build a lot of bad habits for a team. So I don't think the Magic should tank. But I just don't think with the guys that they have right now, they're going to win a lot of games. The Magic have the 9th hardest schedule for the rest of the season. So naturally, I expect the Magic to lose a lot of games and probably finish with one of the worst records in the NBA and have a high chance at getting the #1 pick in the lottery. So I don't think that we're going to necessarily have to tank. I think it's going to be a good opportunity for the young boys to get some more minutes, make some mistakes and learn from their mistakes. Then we can figure out which young guys we want to keep, which young guys we want to move, which young guys we want to offer a long-term contract, etc., etc. So those are the young boys. Then we have the trade pieces and the role players. So what are we going to do with these role players and trade pieces? It's going to depend on this season. We have Terence Ross, Dwayne Bacon, Gary Harris, James Ennis, and Otto Porter Jr. So what we're going to do is look at these players for the rest of the season. We're going to decide which of these veteran players do we want to keep, which of these veteran players do we want to trade. So we're going to look at how these guys play, figure out what could be a part of the Magic's long-term future and what could be used for some trade assets. Guys like Terence Ross, any team in the NBA would be happy to get Terence Ross. I wouldn't mind keeping Terence Ross. He's a great shooter. He's a decent defender. Obviously, he's not an all-star level defender, but he's a decent defender, great shooter. Dwayne Bacon, he's just like a regular role player. We're going to see what he has to offer over the rest of the season. Gary Harris, if he can regain some of his value, maybe we can get a trade for him, maybe get a pick back for him, maybe a late first. And then we got James Ennis and Porter. Porter, his money comes off the books at the end of this season. So even if the Magic decide not to keep him, they're opening up a lot of money in cap space by getting rid of Otto Porter Jr. So now that that's all said and done, boys, the Orlando Magic, we have all our picks going forward, and we have 3 additional first-round picks, the 2 that we got from the Bulls and the 1 pick that we got from the Nuggets. So the future is bright. With all those picks for the Magic in our cupboard, we might be able to make a star trade in the future if a star is to come available. As you guys know, in 2022, Bradley Beal will be a free agent and Zach LaVine will be a free agent. In 2022, the Magic will have $50 million in cap space. They'll have some of the most cap space out of any teams in the NBA. So I think it's a good opportunity for the Magic to potentially get a guy like Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine in the free agency. If you compare a guy like Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine with potentially a Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley, you're sitting pretty, boys, and you have a foundation that you can build around. A team of Jonathan Isaac, Cade Cunningham, and Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal is a team that you don't want to face in the playoffs. That's a lot of backcourt problems. That's a lot of front court problems. Jonathan Isaac, a great defender. Cade Cunningham, a floor general. Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine, both offensive firepower. So I just think the future looks bright for the Magic, boys. If it's up to me, I would say draft Cade. Cade is probably the best prospect there, boys. But other than that, just wanted to show you guys what the Magic's new direction is and why the future is bright for the Magic. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to the channel. We make new NBA videos like this every single week. Have a great day, boys. Peace.